I'm John Jenkins, the Neabsco District Supervisor here in Prince William County. Tonight, we are gathered at Gar-Field High School for a community meeting to assess the impact of installing a new telecommunications tower adjacent to the high school playing fields on the back side of the Gar-Field campus. We have with us tonight representatives of T-Mobile and Milestone Communication. If you have any concerns about the activity that's taking place, please contact my office at 703-792-4667.
I'm Matt Penning with Milestone Communications. I'm the project manager overseeing the Gar-Field High School project. Just going to run through a short presentation going through the project and sharing some information and answering any questions. First, I'm going to start with some background on Milestone and Prince William County and what we've done in our relationship with the county. We've been building towers for 17 years. We've built over 100 towers at this point. We have 55 partners, including municipalities, schools, utilities, with over 2,500 potential tower locations. I've included a couple that we actually have in the state of Virginia, and on the left it shows a map of the various tower locations by state. If we get a little bit more specific, talking about what we've done in the county, recently over the last year, we built a tower at Freedom High School, Chin Park, which is shown here, Veterans Park, and Dumfries Substation. Additionally, since 2011, we built 14 towers in Prince William County, City of Manassas, and Manassas Park. One of the biggest questions we get are, why do you build on school properties? And try to address that with this slide here. First, schools offer larger parcel sizes, which in turn gives us a chance to offer more concealment options and places to site it while meeting setbacks. Another positive about building on schools is the central locations that they're located within the community. So you're located usually in schools in dense residential areas, close to major thoroughways, and also close to where people work. Another benefit is another source of revenue stream outside of the tax base for the schools. And as a community benefit, this offers enhanced wireless service to the community. I'm just going to go over a quick few trends that we're seeing in the industry, and then talk about specifically why we chose Gar-Field. This slide goes over a few trends that I sort of handpicked that I think show overall where we're headed. In the last 10 years, even the last 5 years, the way we interact with our phones has changed a huge amount. So now we've exceeded the point where we have more wireless connections than people in the United States. In Virginia, a study just came out that 77% of 911 calls are dialed using a wireless connection. And then the last statistic I have up there is that over 50% of US households now rely solely on a wireless connection. They've cut the landline, so the majority of people in the US are now using exclusively wireless service at their homes. As far as specific site selection, T-Mobile came to us and asked, or we're looking to improve congestion and coverage in the Dale City and Woodbridge area. They chose this site, like I said earlier, because of its proximity to commuters, dense residential, businesses. You have a lot of local businesses right in the area, Potomac Mills, dense residential to the south, west, and north. So it's sort of the intersection of exactly where they want to be and serve their customers the best. In terms of what other sites were looked at as part of our zoning application, we have to rule out nearby existing wireless towers, transmission lines, building rooftops, any other tall structure that a wireless provider could potentially co-locate their equipment on. This graphic shows the approximate area that will be getting enhanced wireless coverage by this tower. Triangle is the location of the proposed tower at Gar-Field High School. And then the shaded red area is obviously the area that will benefit from this tower. I'm just going to go over some details in the next couple of slides about the specific location and style that we're proposing at this site. Looking to do a 120-foot tall monopole with a 6-foot lightning rod. The tower will be enclosed by a fenced compound. So the equipment to operate at the tower will be located at the base of the tower, enclosed by a 8-foot high chain link fence. The actual property, school property, is actually zoned agricultural A1, which is why we need to go through the special use permit process. While saying that, we actually meet all of our setback requirements. So there's setback requirements to the streets and adjoining parcels that we meet. So we're not asking for any waivers from setbacks with this location. As I said before, T-Mobile was the first carrier to come on this tower. Tower will actually be built with capacity for 4 additional carriers. So even though T-Mobile was the first person to come and commit to the tower, other wireless carriers can come on. Your AT&T, Verizon, Sprint, they can come on the tower. There will be enough space for them as well. To give you an example of the style of tower building, this is Turley Fields, which is also a monopole that we constructed. It's much bigger. It's a 165-foot monopole, whereas here we're proposing a 120-foot tall monopole. And you can see the antenna arrays at the top. So this one has 2 carriers on it, and this is in Dale City as well. This is a top-down view, plan view of the proposed location. I chose this slide because you can kind of see the access road, how we're going to be accessing the site. So we're going to build a 10-foot wide gravel road that'll come off of a parking lot right next to the softball field. So it'll come behind the dugout field and extend to the site. So this area right here, this is where our proposed compound and tower will be. This is a close-up view of the compound, showing that we're going to be adding some landscaping along the sides that aren't already screened by existing trees. So it's going to be a 35 by 60 curved compound. We're going to be matching the fence line, and it's going to be 8-foot tall chain link fence with slats, and as I mentioned, screened with landscaping, and then you have existing tree line and tree buffer to the west. And just to give you an example of the type of compound that we're proposing here, this is the chain link fence with the slats. The structure will be different. This is a 3-legged structure. It will just be one steel monopole. Just going over quickly the project timeline. We filed our zoning application February 9th. We met with the Prince William County School staff to vet the location, make sure it's not going to interfere with future or current school operations. We also met with Supervisor Jenkins and his staff to go over the location, and we also coordinated with Gar-Field administration. Additionally, this past weekend we flew a balloon from the proposed location and height of the tower, so 120 feet from the proposed location on site, just to give the surrounding community a visual reference for what it'll look like and if they can see it from where they live or where they drive or things like that. This is just going a little bit more in depth in the outreach that we did. We mailed postcards to residents within a half mile of the site. We also set up a site-specific website, project website, garfieldhswireless.com, where you can get more information about the project. If you have questions, you can actually contact us through that website as well. And like I mentioned before, we met and coordinated with Prince William County school staff, Gar-Field's administration, and Supervisor Jenkins' office. Additionally, we presented to the local PELT 2 or 3 weeks ago, and we also contacted the Dale City Civic Association. Next couple of slides are just going to run through. We did a balloon fly earlier in the year, December, when there was very low tree cover, almost no tree cover, so all the leaves were off. So this almost shows you what worst case situation will be. We flew a balloon from the proposed location on site at the proposed height, and then took photographs in the surrounding area to see where you could see the balloon. And then took those photos and superimposed an image of a tower to simulate what it will look like from various vantage points in the community. So just going to run through. We took a lot of photos. The tower was not visible from all vantage points. Specifically, this is a visibility map, so the red lines show where it wasn't visible from, and blue is where it was visible from. So the dense residential to the west and southwest, not very visible. Along the commercial corridor and shopping, retail here, a little bit more visible. So in the interest of time, I'm just going to run through the ones that are visible. But all of these are on the website if anybody would like to see them afterwards. From school campus, across Smoketown Road, across Smoketown Road to the east, across the street from the volunteer fire department. You can kind of see it just through the trees there. From Golansky Boulevard, further west-northwest along Golansky Boulevard. From Folger Square and Smoketown Road, sort of the commercial area here. From Minnieville Road along Prince William County Parkway. From Potomac Mills Mall parking lot. And from a nearby loading dock, about 0.31 miles east-northeast. This is just a roadmap of what we have going on next with the project. We're going to be presenting, or the Planning Commission is going to be hearing our zoning application at the June 20th meeting, and then the Board of County Supervisors will hear it at July 17th meeting. And if there are no setbacks, then we continue to site plan review and building permit review. And with that concludes the presentation, and open it up to any questions that anybody has. Right now we are on schedule, and barring no setbacks, we're looking at construction at the end of the fourth quarter this year. So it could be early November or early December, depending on how quickly site plan and building permit review go. So we have a revenue sharing agreement with Prince William County Schools. As part of that, we share 40% of the tower revenue. So all rent, all fees collected, we share 40% with the schools. In addition, we also pay a one-time site fee of $25,000 to the schools. And then for each additional carrier that comes on the tower, we pay an additional $5,000 for each, so if Verizon was to come on, if AT&T was to come on, we'd pay $5,000 each for those carriers to come on the tower. So they generate $400,000 over a 10-year period. That's the amount that goes to the school system.
Yeah, good evening. My name is Matt Butcher, and I'm with Sublight Engineering, and I'm a licensed engineer in the state of Virginia. So, pertaining to the question of whether this site will fill in dead spots, it will help in areas that don't have coverage near the school. But most importantly, what this is to do is to support multiple users, because there's a large concentration of users in this area. It'll support more of those users because right now the network as it's built is at capacity, and it just needs the ability to serve more users. You know, anytime there's a large event, if it's a football game or you know, anything where there's a public safety aspect of it, having the capacity to handle multiple users and an increased number of users is what this tower will help do. This tower and all wireless facilities have to meet U.S. regulations on exposure, and those regulations are pretty much the same as what are adopted in most of the world. We've done a lot of work, or I've done a lot of work with Milestone in assessing sites at schools in Fairfax County, and we measured at a dozen or more schools, areas around the school and in the school with many carriers on towers on the school property, and the levels there were generally about 1,000 times below the exposure limit, and those exposure limits already have a 50-fold safety margin. So really, the levels that the public is exposed to from these are very low. And kind of a benefit, if you're really worried about RF exposure, most of the energy that you get, most of the RF energy you receive is from your phone because it's right next to your body. And if you have a site near you, then your phone turns its power down a lot. And so actually it's a little bit counterintuitive, but having a tower near you will reduce your exposure to RF energy.
So the thing we looked at when we were citing this one is the sheer number of ball lights that are around. I mean, it's located right in the middle of a ball field. And one of the comments we actually got when we went through the county process is, you know, could we build it to have enough capacity to put a light on it eventually? So if the school was to reconfigure its athletic fields, we've built this tower to have the capacity to have a light pole at the bottom rung at the same height as all the other light poles. So we think that could be an amenity that might actually serve the school in the future. But in terms of a tree pole, it's, you know, anything's an option, but like I said, in the specific area that it's located and sort of the surrounding sites, and, you know, it might be good for the portion of the county that sees it across from the parkway, but then you're going to be seeing the tree pole front and center as you drive down Smoketown. So it might not blend in as well as maybe a light pole would. So that's sort of the thinking behind that.
I think when you look at